Hi guys, today we are back with one more lecture on how to solve one unknown one equation. Okay, now we are going to discuss about some advanced methods of solving one unknown one equation. So we start off with the two equations that we solved in the last lecture, but this time we are going to introduce a new method of solving these equations. Alright, so consider the first equation, the equation on top. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you to a very interesting concept in math. So in math, we can add whatever we want or subtract from both sides of the equation. So I can add or subtract whatever I want from this side. So for example, I can add 2, but I have to do the same thing on this side as well, right? So whatever I can add to one side, I have to do to the other side. So is the case with multiplication and division. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. And if I do that, I get this. So if I subtract 5 from both sides, the left side of the equation becomes 2x plus 5 minus 5, and the right side becomes 10 minus 5, which is 5. And notice in this case, I have plus 5 minus 5. So I'm adding 5 to this 2x and also subtracting 5. So adding something and then subtracting it, plus 5 minus 5 makes it to go to 0, right? So I have 0 here, and this side I will be left with 2x only, and that side 5. So I get 2x equals 5. Now again, what I can do is, as next step, I can divide both sides by 2. And remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Just one exception, we cannot divide by 0 in math. And multiplying by 0 also leads to 0 equals 0, which is not very useful information. So dividing and multiplying by 0 is not very useful, okay? However, I can add and subtract 0, but that's again is not going to be very useful, all right? So let's not play around with 0 and let's do other stuff. Okay, we can divide and multiply by whatever we want. And now if I divide by 2, I get 2x divided by 2 on the left side. And if I do that, this 2 and this 2, I'm multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2. That 2 and the 2 on the bottom cancel out, and I will have x on left side. Remember, I'm multiplying by 2 and then dividing by 2. And on the right side, I will get my equation. So I get x equals 2.5. For the equation on the bottom, what I'm going to do is, again, remember, these addition and multiplications are not random. I'm trying to eliminate the extra stuff that I have around x to get to actual value of x. So first step is I'm going to get the stuff that are far away from x. So plus 5 is very away from x right now, not very close. It divided by 3 is closer. So I'm going to subtract minus 5 from both sides to get rid of this extra bit that I have on the left side and get closer to x. I get x divided by 3 if I do that. And if I do that minus 5 on the right side, I get equals 5. And x divided by 3 equals 5. Okay, so I'm one step closer to getting my x. I don't have the extra bit that I had before. Now what I can do is I can multiply this by 3 to get rid of this 3, because at the end I'm interested to get the x value only. So to get rid of that divide by 3, I have to do the inverse operation, which is multiplication by 3. Remember, last time I had plus here, I had to do the inverse operation minus 5, but I have to do that on the other side. So here the same case. To get rid of this divide by 0, I have to divide by 3, I have to multiply by 3, but I have to do that on this side as well. And if I do that, I will get x times 3 equals 5 times 3 equals 15. So x becomes 15. All right, why this method is called, I'm calling this advanced. This method, if you learn it, it's very useful in solving other types of equation. Remember, this kind of shows how fair math is. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side, otherwise it's unfair. But now let's look at some other equations that are not very of the same type you see that we have solved before. It's called a non-linear equation. It's not linear, it's actually inverse type equation. So I have 1 over x divided by 10. Now to get x, all I need to do is inverse this side, and that will give me x. But to do that, I have to do that to the other side as well. So to do that, I inverse both sides, and I get x equals 10.